By the end of this video, you will be able to completely automate the process of generating a video like this.
Are you struggling with your entrepreneurial journey? It's time to listen to your heart and focus on one project. The biggest mistake entrepreneurs make is dividing their attention among multiple opportunities. Success comes from consistent effort and
So this system auto-generates a video based on an input source article. First, it takes in an input source article, and then we choose what type of video we want to generate. For example, a YouTube short. After that, it automatically generates a checkbox and it starts the process of generating the video script. And now the video script over here is generated. After that, a sheet is automatically generated for the video to be generated, and the script is split into sentences. In our case over here, we have 5 sentences. For each sentence, an image prompt is automatically generated. For example, for the first sentence, create a vivid dynamic image, and so on and so forth. Once this is done, the image creation process is automatically triggered over here. And right now, the system starts to generate images for each sentence. So this is our first image. This is the second one, the third, the fourth, and the fifth one. After that, the video creation process is generated. In our case over here, we generate kind of like a zoom and a pan on each image, which is highly used in YouTube. So right now, the videos are being generated over here. After that, the process of creating the voiceover for each sentence is triggered. And right now, the system starts to generate the voiceover for each image, which narrates the sentence for each image. And then the process of generating the final video is triggered, where the system starts to put everything together into one final video. So this is going to be the final shape of our system. It might look a little bit scary, but it's just a bunch of simple things. The first part will take in the source article and the type of video that we want to generate, and it will generate the script for the video as well as the prompts for the images to be generated. The second part will generate the images for each sentence. The third part will generate the videos out of those images or based on those images. The fourth part will generate the voiceover for each sentence. And the final part over here will generate the final video by putting everything together. So this is going to be our sheet. So let's build this whole structure from scratch so you can follow along with me. So let's go to Google Sheets and let's create a new sheet. And now we will give our document a name. Let's call it content machine. And let's give our sheet a name. Let's call it stories. So this stories sheet is going to be the main sheet. Each row in this sheet represents a whole video. So the first thing I have done is that I have given a name for each column. So over here, we will paste the source article. And over here, we will select the type of the video we want to generate. And based on that, a video script will be generated in this cell over here. So the first row over here is the story type. It will tell AI what type of video are we trying to generate in order to generate the script properly. Since it's a list of options, we will turn it into a list. So we will select the column and we will go to data and then data validation. And then we will add a rule and it will be a drop down. And right now we want the first cell to just be the title, so we'll make it starting from A2. Okay, so this one is not included. Okay, and over here we will add the items. So the first one is going to be YouTube short. Okay, and we can add another, maybe we can give it a color or something. Anyway, we will add another item. We call it, for example, news story. Anything. All right, let me remove myself from here. Let's add a couple of additional items. Let's add another item and call it YouTube voiceover. Let's add another item and call it comic news story. Let's add another one and call it emotive news story. Okay, that's enough. So right now, when we drop down, we will find those options and we can select whatever we want from them. So those video types over here are just for educational purposes. You will make the types of videos or scenarios that best suits your business. All right. So the next thing I will do is that I will go to extensions and I will add an app script for this sheet. Okay, so I will control all and I will paste this app script over here. This is the app script that will make your sheet work. It will make it talk to the APIs and generate new sheets and generate checkboxes and so on and so forth. And I will make this app script available for you guys in the description. So you guys are going to paste the app script into your sheets as well if you want to follow along with this work. And then you will hit save. All right. The next thing I will do over here is that I will add a trigger. This trigger means that your sheet will trigger an event of your choice whenever a certain change happens within the sheet. Like, for example, a cell has been updated and so on and so forth. So we will add a trigger over here and we will select the type to be on change. Okay, over here, it should be on change. If you keep it on edit, it will be just using the user intervention or based on the user intervention. But on change, it will also respond to API intervention. So we will select on change over here and we will save. So right now it has sent me over here. I will click advanced and I will go to this unsave option over here. And I will allow. So this way, I am allowing my sheet to trigger an event whenever a change happens within the sheet, whether by my own intervention manually or by the intervention of an API. So right now, since we have got our app script ready, let's try and test it out over here. Let's select, for example, this option and write any random source article. So right now, checkbox over here should be generated. And right now, it's trying to communicate with the API. Okay, but we did not set the API yet on n8n, so it's giving an error over here. But it at least says that the app script right now is working properly on your sheet. So this is one of the functions of the app script. It will generate a checkbox and communicate with the API in order to write the video script whenever you fill up those two fields over here. So right now, let's create a new sheet and let's call it story types. So what I have done over here in the story types sheet is that I have named each column. The first one is the story type. The second one, so this sheet is what will describe the specifications of the video that you are actually generating. Okay, so it will include the width and the height of the video. So in our case over here, this is the width and the height of this particular option over here. And this width and height will be automatically the output width and height, so we don't need to fill those out. Okay. Now this is going to be the prompt that will be used for this particular option or this particular video type that will be used to write the script of the video. Okay. So you are a tech news reporter. Okay, let's create a 200 words factual review of the article, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have to fine tune this. I can make this available for you guys as well if you want to have a look at it for the beginning. So this is for the comic news option over here. Okay, so of course you will make the video type that better suits your business. Okay, and you will fine tune your prompt accordingly. And also, if you want to generate shorts, okay, instead of normal videos, you will reverse those two numbers over here. Okay, so this option over here will generate shorts. So if you ask why is this empty over here, because automatically the video will have the size of the generated images over here, so we don't have to fill anything over here. Currently, it's not actually used. Okay, what about this row over here? Over here, it's going to be the prompt that will be used to generate the prompts for the images. Okay, so this prompt will tell AI generate prompts for each image that will be rendered during the narration of a particular sentence. All right, so that's it for our sheet. Right now, we are ready to start the process of building our n8n sequence. All right, so again, the first sequence will do the following. Whenever we pick a particular video type, and then fill in the source article, a request will be sent to the sequence in order to generate the video script, and a video script will be generated. Then after the generation of the video script will be split into sentences. Okay, like this example over here. So the video script will be split into sentences in order to work on each sentence individually and generate the associated image and video and voiceover. Okay, but this particular first sequence we'll work with is just concerned with the process of generating the video script and splitting the video script into sentences, like what we can see over here. For example, over here, the video script is split into 5 sentences. All right, so right now I will go to Docker Desktop. Make sure that you have installed and mastered Docker Desktop. In this example, I will be using n8n installed locally. Okay, and it's up to you to use local n8n or the one from the cloud. But in my example over here, I have used n8n installed locally. All right, so this is my n8n container over here. So I will switch it on. And in the meanwhile, I will also activate the ngrok. It's what allows n8n to communicate with the external world. So I will copy my ngrok division instruction over here. Okay, and I will go to the ngrok terminal, and I will run this instruction in order to activate ngrok. So make sure, if you don't know how to work with this, make sure that you pause this video and go to YouTube and learn how to install Docker Desktop and how to install n8n locally, and you will learn how to activate it on your local PC. So in this video, I'll just assume that you already know this. So after switching it on and waiting for a little bit of while, right now, I will turn on my local instance. All right, so right now I will go to create a workflow. All right, let's call it content machine tutorial. All right. So whenever we input an article and select a type, we will trigger a webhook in the sequence. So the first step is to create a webhook, right? All right, so I will choose post, okay, and I will call the path right over here, and that's it. Our webhook is ready to receive a request. All right, let me just get this one clear right from here and right from the beginning. We have 2 webhook URLs. We have the testing URL and we have the production URL. Okay, so they are exactly the same, but the testing URL is just used for testing purposes. So it has added the word test over here, okay, to the URL -test over here. This is the only difference between the 2 URLs. So whenever you are just testing inside the editor over here, or you hit execute workflow or try to, test the individual block over here, okay, what will be activated is the test URL over here, okay, unless you change it, okay. But what will be activated and will be waiting is the test URL. So make sure that you also change the URL that's being called from your script accordingly, okay. So the URL for the first sequence, I have called it webhook right, okay. So this one, if you have used a different name, you need to go to this URL over here and change it. So whenever you're just testing, you need to also add the word test over here, okay. And if you're not testing, if you are right now in production mode, okay, you need to get it back to this shape, okay, and remove the word test, okay. So for example, right now, if you activate the sequence and make it ready, whenever you activate it, that means that it's right now in production, okay. You're not testing or editing or fixing anything, you're just producing. So whenever you hit this one and make the sequence work actually in the real world, the production URL will be activated, okay. So if you activate the sequence, you need to go to your script and change the URL into the production URL. If you got back to testing, you need to get back here and change it again, okay. So make sure that you change the URL that you are calling from your script according to what's going on your n8n sequence. All right, so let's go ahead and test this URL and make sure we will hit on listen. And then we'll go here and pick a video type and copy this article over here. So right now, the app script will auto-generate a checkbox over here, and it will send the request. And right now, it gives an error because, yeah, it has given me an error because in the app script, I did not fix the URL into the testing one, okay? So I'll save, and I'll get back here, and I will trigger the system, or I'll trigger the webhook once again, okay? So right now it's sent, and this is our URL, which have been received by our sequence. So once you see this, you know that your app script is working fine, and you are on the right track. So right now, the first thing I want to do is that I need to change the raw value into a string in order to be able to use it in my future blocks. So I will add an edit field block. Okay, and I will drag the row into the field, and I will use the value string. So right now, I can execute this, and right now I have gotten my row number as a string, says AB, okay, which means it's a string, not a number, and we're good. So the next thing I will do is that I will import this story types sheet to my sequence in order to be able to get the string, the prompt that I will need to generate the script according to the video type that I have selected in the main sheet. So I will go to sheets, okay, and I will get rows in a sheet, okay, and I will choose the sheet ID, the sheet by ID, so document name by ID, and I will drag this ID over here. Okay, so right now it has recognized the sheet by ID, and I will tell you why I use this in a minute. Why don't I just input the name of the document directly? Okay, so right now from here, okay, I will choose the right credentials. Probably this is the wrong one. So right now I've chosen the right credentials, and here is our story types over here. So the reason why I have selected the document name by ID, which is sent by the webhook, because I don't want this particular sequence to be specific to the sheet name that is used in this example. I want this sequence to be able to deal with any sheet. So for example, if a new customer comes in and creates a new sheet with a different name, this sequence will be able to handle it. You don't have to go to the n8n sequence and change. So if I just here write, for example, content machine or the name of my document, every time I create a new sheet with a different name, I'm going to have to come here and change it. But if I just use the variable ID and send it through my app script by the webhook, the sequence will be able to deal with any name regardless of the name of your sheet. All right, so right now we want to take the prompt of the video type that we have chosen, right? So we will add a filter over here, okay, and we will select the story type to match what we have sent over here from the webhook. Okay, if you can see, this is from the app script. Okay, so the app script will send the story type that the user has selected along with the webhook. So if you just copy my app script, it will work for you, no problem. Okay, so I will drag this over here, and boom, we will filter out the story type that we want. All right, so let's execute this. And boom, it has worked, and it has imported the particular video characteristic associated with the video type that we have actually selected. We have selected the YouTube short. Okay, so this is the prompt associated with the YouTube short. This is the image prompts and the script prompts and the width and the height and so on and so forth. All right, so now let's message a model. Let's try OpenAI. That's it. Message a model. Resource text and message a model from list. Let's choose GPT-0.5. You will choose the model that best suits your needs. So for the prompt is what we have imported from the sheet. This is it. Okay. And it starts with read the article below. So we will add based on the following article. And then we will drag our article, which we have received from the webhook. This is the source article. So I have designed the Google Apps script to send the article along with the initial webhook. Okay, so you are covered. Okay, so this is our, our prompt. So let's execute this. All right, and we got the response from the language model over here inside what they call content. Let's save this. So now we want to send this back to the Google Sheets. So we will go to Google Sheets, update a row. Okay, and we will choose the right credentials over here, and we will again, input the document ID, which we have sent along the webhook over here. All right, and the sheet is called stories, as we know, the main sheet. Okay, and oh, sorry, I did not tell it what to update. So we will match using the row number as always. Okay, the row number is what we have received from the webhook. So the row number is what we have received from the webhook over here. Okay, and what we want to update is the story. Okay, let me get back to the sheet and see what do we call this column. This is our stories sheet. Oh, yeah, so we call the script of the video story. Okay, so what we want to update is actually the story over here. So we will drag the output from the language model, which is content, and throw it here into the story and execute this thing. All right, so right now we can see that the story is updated over here. All right, so let's go ahead and trigger the whole sequence once again. We will execute workflow, and we'll go to our sheet, and we will select a type and add an example script over here. And let's see if we have the whole thing working. It's sent. Okay. All right. And we have got our article over here. All right. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to generate prompts for the images, which will be rendered while saying each sentence. Okay. So right now we will divide our script into sentences. Okay. And right now each sentence is going to have an image rendered while saying it. So this is going to be the image prompt or the image that will be rendered while saying that sentence. So in our example over here, each sentence has got 3 images to be rendered while saying it. So for example, this sentence will have this image and then this image and then this image, which is why each sentence is repeated 3 times. All right, so we will take the response right now from the language model, and we're going to have to process it and arrange it on this shape into this sheet. So let's message a model, message assistant. All right, let's make the resource text and message a model. And right now let's pick GPT 3.5 Turbo. And right now let's write prompt. So the prompt is what we will get here from the sheet, as you remember, the scene JSON prompt. Let's read it really fast. I have a story for which I need to generate AI images. So each prompt should be designed as a vivid, dynamic, comic illustration, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and then we need to include the story, right? All right, so the story is what we have over here, what we have gotten from the model or updated the sheet with. So let's have it over here. Okay, now in order to understand the structure of what we will get back from the model and be able to process it, let me just read it really fast for you over here. Like I have a story for which I need to generate, AI image prompts, right? So right now we will ask for the prompts. So let's focus on this part over here. Please format the results as a JSON object containing an array called pairs. Okay. Each object within the array should have 2 keys, original with the original sentence from the story, and AI image prompts, which contains an array of 3 strings. So this is the structure. Okay. So each sentence will have 3 prompts, right? Okay. Each one for an image that will be rendered while saying that sentence. Okay, so those two lines over here explains what we will get back from the model. Now, don't worry so much about having to exactly understand the structure of this. It will be enough if you just copy the code that I will give you, and it will process the response from the language model appropriately for you. So if you don't exactly understand what you will get back or how it will look like from the language model, it's okay. Just copy the code I will give you, and it will process it for you and make it ready to be used. All right, so let's run this. Okay, let's execute this one. Each time you're going to have to execute it in order to get the output from it and use it in the next step and the next block and so on and so forth. Okay, so we got the response from the model. This is how it will look like, right? Okay, this is the response back from ChatGPT. It has arranged it the way we asked it for. So here's what we're going to do next. We'll create a code that will process this response into something a little bit more organized. So we will add a code. Okay, and I will paste this code, okay, and execute step. So right now we have got this ugly response from the model, and we have got this organized using this code. We have got this organized structure, JSON structure. It says the sentence number and the sentence and the prompts associated with that sentence. In our case, we have 3. Now, if you change the prompt to give, for example, 2 or 5, this will also change dynamically. So this is sentence 2, this is sentence 3. So the sentence number, the sentence, and the prompts associated with the images of each sentence. So we have gotten something that's organized. Now, let me copy this code for you guys, if you want to follow along with me, and paste it for you in the document that we have started. I will call it for you guys code. I'll call it code, and I will paste this one. The next thing is that I want to put it on this shape, where each sentence has got a number, okay? And each sentence is repeated as many times as it has images, where each line contains one image only, in order to be able to deal with this. So in order to put it on this shape, I just created another code. So I'll create another code. And I will paste this particular part code in it. And, okay, and right now it will output this more organized structure, where each item right now includes only one image prompt. Okay, so each sentence will have like 3 items right now. Okay, this will make it easier for us to work with this in the future. So again, I'll go for your sheet, guys, if you want to follow along, and I will paste this. I will call it code 1. And I will paste this for you to copy. All right, so right now we have this output. Let's send it immediately to our sheet. So we will go to Google Sheets and update a row in a sheet. I'll select my credentials. And now I want to select the sheet by ID. Because if I use just a particular name of a sheet, then every time I create a new document, I'm going to have to change my whole sequence. So I want the name to also change dynamically. So I send it by the API. So this is the ID. Okay, cannot determine which item. Whenever you see this message, just change item with first. Life will be good. Whenever you find this message, just do this. Okay, and we will take the sheet from update row in a sheet row number. This is going to be also the sheet's number. So we'll change this into first. So right now, for this to work properly, if you do try right now, it's not going to be able to work properly. So we'll go to ChatGPT and change this into a string. So change this into a string. Yep. Now this is the one I'm looking for. So I paste it here. And right now, let's retry. Okay, we should change this into by name instead. Okay, so finally it has recognized our columns. So we will match using the row number. And this is why we created this counter variable in the code. Okay, but it will be +1. For the sentence ID, we will use the combined ID. For the sentence, we will use the sentence. For the image prompts, we will use we'll use the prompt. Okay, and we're good. So maybe we can execute this. All right. So we have updated the sheet. So if we go back to the sheet, we are supposed to find this. Yeah. Okay. So right now, this is the final shape. We have got each sentence along with the image prompt of the image associated with it. And because we will render 3 images for each sentence, so each sentence is repeated 3 times. Okay. And each time we have an image prompt for a particular image. All right. So let's save this and move forward. All right. So right now I want to add an if statement. Now I want to be able to trigger the next sequence automatically if I set the auto mode for true. Okay. So I will check for this variable. Okay. And I will change this into first. Okay. And I will say that if this variable is true, then please do whatever I tell you to do. Okay. Okay. One last modification I want to do for the sheet is I want to add this auto option. So we have a checkbox here, which we can check if we want the video to move forward automatically without we having to trigger every single sequence. So for example, if we don't check the auto, it will we will trigger, for example, the article writing. Then we will need to manually trigger the next step, which is making the images, and then to manually trigger the next step, which is making the videos, and then to manually trigger the next step, which is kind of like putting everything together and so on and so forth. So sometimes we just want everything to move on completely on autopilot. So we can check this box over here, okay, and it will just move forward from the beginning to the end. All right, so let's add a checkbox rule for this column over here. So we will hit this arrow and go for data validation, and we'll add a rule, and it says from K1. We don't want it from K1, we want maybe from K2, right? Because K1 is just the title of the column or the name of the column. So let's click on checkbox. Now my image is covering the screen, so I'm unable to see this one. So let's hit done. Okay, now we got our checkboxes over here. So right now, whenever we select the video type and add the article, we can check this one, okay, in order to allow the sequence to progress on its own. So right now in our sequence, we will check this value in this if block over here. If it's true, it will trigger the next sequence, which is going to be making maybe the images and so on and so forth. So if the auto mode is true, we want to do the following. We want to automatically check this create images. So we don't have to do it manually. So this one will be checked automatically and the next sequence will be checked. So the first thing is we need to update sheet and change this value to true. So we'll go ahead and add to the true branch, Google Sheets, date row. We'll select our account and then we will select document again by ID. Okay, it switches by ID. All right, I'll just connect it right now to the false branch because the true branch is not activated because we did not check it whenever we made this request. So I'll just, in order to be able to configure this, I will connect it to the false one. Okay, and I will change items to first. Okay, and then I'll select also the row number. Okay, I'll select the sheet with the same method we have explained in the previous block. Okay, we have stringified it. We have changed it into a string in order to work properly, and match using the row number. And we'll go to create images, and we will set it to true. Okay, so this will automatically check the box in the associated row. Okay, we get out of that block and let's save. All right, so as soon as the checkbox is updated programmatically over here, this will trigger the next sequence. So just automatically checking the checkbox over here, which says create images, will get the app script to trigger the next webhook over here. So in my video, you will see an HTTP request over here. Just ignore it and don't do it. Okay, it was just a mistake from a previous recording. So whenever you see HTTP requests at the end of the sequence or any of the coming sequences, just ignore it. Okay, it was used to trigger the next sequence, but right now the next sequence is just simply getting triggered by this block over here, which updates the checkbox of the Google Sheet, which will allow the app script again to trigger the next sequence. So just ignore the HTTP request that you see over here. Just don't do it. So right now we are ready to start, okay, with the next sequence. Okay, we can just simply copy this webhook. Okay, and right now I would call it images. Okay, I'll call it images. Let me make sure what I have called it in the script. Just want to make sure that I'm using the same name. I called it image, not images. Okay, so in your case, make sure that you replace the URL with your own URL. Okay, because your ngrok URL would be different, so you should update the URL for each one of the webhooks, either the images or the videos or the voiceovers or the write or any one of them, because you will have your own ngrok URL or whatever you're actually using. So back to the sequence. So it's image, not images. Okay, and everything else by copying is already configured. You can test it if you want. You can listen to it. So you can. So let's listen to it. Okay, and I will go right now to the sheet. Okay, and I will trigger to the created sheet over here, for example, and I will trigger the create images. Yeah, this one. Okay, properly. Yeah. All right. Again, right now we are testing. Okay, and whenever you are testing, you need to make sure that you add the test word to your URL. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Okay, and when you move to production, you will remove this test part and just leave the word URL. Okay, so let us listen again over here. It's still listening, so let's hit this one. So this sheet was automatically created as soon as the article is generated or the script is generated. Okay, so right now we have our URL, our webhook working, and we are ready to build our sequence. All right, so now we have those sentences, and we want to generate an image for each sentence. So let's just remove and leave only 3 sentences. So we don't have to go through a huge number of sentences on each iteration as we are debugging our code. All right, so the first thing we will do is that we will get the story type of the story that we are working with. So the story type, in our case, assume that we're working on this story. The story type will be the thing that is selected over here. For example, it's a YouTube voiceover, or it's a comic news story, or whatever story types that you have specified in your system. So what we will do is that we will get this sheet, and then we'll extract the story type associated with the story that we're working on from the correlated row. So let's add the sheets block and get rows in a sheet. Okay, now we want to identify the document by ID. Yes, so we will choose by ID and we'll throw our ID over here. Okay, very nice. We'll choose the right credentials. And right now, our sheets within this document will load. So we will choose stories. and execute. And right now we have got our stories sheet. Now we will add a code to extract the story type of the row that we're working on. So I will add a code block, and I will paste this block over here. Okay, and right now we will execute it. So it has extracted the story type from the sheet, and I will leave this code for you guys in order to replicate the work if you want. So in our case over here, the story type is YouTube also. Right now we will get the story type sheet and extract the width and the height of the associated story type. So we will go for sheets, get rows, and then we will use by ID. The ID comes with the webhook. This is our ID. Okay, I think this is the right account. So since it cannot determine, we will replace item with first. First. Very nice. Now it's happy. And right now we will load the sheets. Okay, and to choose story type. And right now we will make a filter so that the story type is the same story type we have extracted from the previous block. So we will add a filter. Okay, and right now we will choose the story type, and the value should be what we have extracted from the previous block, which is final story type. Very cool. Okay, so let's execute this. All right. Okay, so we have executed this. Let's have another look at it right now. This is what it has extracted. So from multiple items, it has extracted this item, which is the current story or the story that we're working on. Okay, it includes the image width and height and the other properties. All right, so since we have the image width and height right now ready, we can right now get our story sheet and start the loop. So let's get another sheet over here and get rows. And we will also, as always, use ID and throw our ID to the webhook. This is the ID of the document. Okay, and let's place this with first. Yep. Okay, and right now we'll use, and let's fix our credentials, and we will use the story number. We will also get this from the URL. We'll get this from the webhook also, which is the sheet name. And determine, so let's make it false. Okay, it's 9. Very nice. Okay, let's execute. ID now. No, sorry, it's not by ID, it's by name. Sorry. It's by name. Let's throw the name again. Okay, can determine. Let's change this with first. Okay, let's execute. And boom, we have got the sheet associated with our story. It includes all the prompts for the images. So in my case, this block has imported 975 items. So it has imported a lot of empty items. So in order to get rid of the empty items and only keep our sentences, we will add another code block. And we will paste the following code. I will leave that for you guys in the description. Let's execute this. And now we have only our 3 items. We have gotten rid of the empty rows. So now we have 3 items. We need to loop over each one of those items. So we will add a loop. Loop over items. Very nice. And the batch size is as is. So that is our loop. And over here, we will put our process. All right, guys. So right now we will work with Leonardo. Make sure that you sign up with an API developer plan, not a normal plan. Okay, so right now I'll go to more and I'll scroll down to API. Okay, where you will find your keys. And here, where you will go to our documentation. All right, so let's delete this. Let's add something, which is an HTTP request that we will send to Leonardo. Okay. And right now we will go to the Leonardo documentation. Okay. So I have went over here to the API documentation and I will select image generation. And right now you can select whatever model that suits you. Okay. So for example, I will choose this one, Flux. And I will copy this curl and go back to my sequence and I will import curl and I will paste it here and I will import. All right. So all this is already done for you right now. And make sure that you paste your API key over here. So in other words, you just remove this and write your whatever API key that you have made on Leonardo. Okay. So it will look something like this. Okay, a number or something. All right. So now we have no previous data. So I will go back to the loop and I will run this so that it gives us our first item to work on. Okay. So right now we have input to this. Very good. So right now there are three things that we will change dynamically, which are the prompt and the width and the height of the image, right? So let's go and find the prompt. This is our prompt over here. So we replace this example prompt with our prompt. Yeah, very good. Also, we will replace the width and height, which we have gotten from before. All right, so we will get the image width and height from this block over here. This is the image width, and let's also change the height. So right now we have got the image width and height changing dynamically right from the sheet. So this is the image height, and we're good. Let's try and execute this and see how we will mess up. Please check your parameters. So right now I have this problem is that whenever I put a number in the value field, it registers as a string. So what we're going to do is that we will switch this to JSON and we will get back to Leonardo and copy this part. Again, I will change this variable with our image prompt. So I will delete this and I will drag my image prompt over here. Very good. And I will also change the width and the height of our variable. So I will delete this and I will drag my width. So this is where it comes from. This is our image width. We also need to change the height into our variable. So we will drag this. Very good. Let's try and execute this. All right, guys, just one last thing that I needed to do. I needed to add quotes around the prompt, okay? I also changed the number of images to 1 for now. So I have run the block and it worked and have generated the image for me. All right, so right now let's add a wait period. So we can wait until the image is generated. So we will add a wait block and we will make it 15 seconds. Very good. Right now I will execute the steps so we can have the data flow throughout this block moving forward. But unfortunately, it's going to have to execute all the previous blocks. Anyway, all right. So now after generating the image, we need to request that image back to our sequence. So let's add another HTTP request. And let's go to our documentation and copy this URL over here. Okay. And so we'll check send headers. Then I will add this accept field. This is going to be the value. I've copied it from Leonardo. All right, guys, one last thing that we need to do is that we need to add the job ID. Okay, tell Leonardo what image are we trying to request. Okay, so let's try and execute this. Unfortunately, it's going to have to process all the previous blocks, so it will take a little bit of a while. Let me pause this. All right, so finally we got our image over here. I guess this is the URL of our image. So maybe right now, if I go to the browser and paste this, I'll be able to see the image. Okay, that's our image. Wow, that's good. All right, so now we need to download this image down to our sequence. So we will add another HTTP request. And the URL will be our image URL. Okay, very nice. Let's execute this. All right, very good. So we have received our image. So if we download it, it will be downloaded down to our PC, or maybe we can view it over here inside the sequence. So here we are, and we have got our image. So because I did not pin our previous blocks over here, every time I run the next block, it will have to run all the previous blocks over here. So if you don't want this to happen, you can just simply pin maybe the previous block, like you can pin this one. So you don't have to keep, generating images every time you test a new block. Okay. All right, so let's upload this image to Google Drive. Google Drive is going to be our foundational storage. We will upload and download everything from it. So let's go to Google Drive. Okay, and upload file. Very good. So right now it will automatically take in the data over here, and you can upload it wherever you want. In my case, I have created a directory on my Google Drive, and I have its ID, so I will plug it over here. Okay, so I will throw my ID over here. In your case, you can create a directory on your Google Drive, or select whatever you prefer over here, and you can have its ID and throw it over here. Okay, so let's execute this. Maybe I'm going to have to refresh my credentials. I don't know if it's going to work. Let's see. All right, so it says that the provided authorization grant is not working. So I'm going to have to go there and refresh my credentials every time, and then you're going to have to refresh your credentials, kind of like a security issue. So I'll go to my credentials. I will go to Google Drive, and I will sign in again. I was expecting that it's not going to work. It's a safety issue. So you're going to have to live with that. Okay, now we are successful. So let's get back and see. Close this and get back to our tutorial workflow and try to make this work. Execute this. All right, so now it has worked and it has sent me the information of the uploaded file for me to be able to use. All right, so now I want to tell Google that make this file shareable, okay? Because right now Google is not allowing the shareability of the file. So I will go again to Google Drive. Okay, and I will choose this one, which is share file. Okay, and I will use by ID, and I will use the ID of the uploaded file. Okay, over here. Very good. So let's execute this. And right now we are telling Google that, make this file shareable so we can download it or work with it in the future. So unfortunately, because I did not pin the previous blocks, it will have to execute everything before, okay, which will take some time. Okay, it turns out that we need to add a permission over here, role, reader, type, anyone. Okay, so anyone can read. So right now we can execute this and move forward. All right, finally we have got this. So let's try something. I'll try to pin all those blocks so we don't have to, just keep repeating or executing all the previous blocks every time we. Okay, this one is not pinnable. All right. Yeah, let's try to pin those guys. Because every time I run a next block, it will have to repeat everything, which is frustrating. So let's try and pin those people again. All right. One last thing in this loop is that we want to send the image link to the sheet. So I will go to Google Sheets and update row in a sheet. And again, we will identify the document by the ID sent from the webhook in order to make it dynamic. Otherwise, every time you create a new sheet, you're going to have to change the sequence, which is not good. So we identify it, and we will change this to first. Okay. And then we'll change the sheet. We'll change this to count. Okay. And also the sheet is going to have to be the sheet name. Okay. And again, we'll make this first. Very good. All right, this is not by ID. This should be by name. Okay, I'm sorry for this. So let's throw the sheet name again over here and change this to first. All right. So we will match on the row number. All right, so I'll drag the row number. This is going to be used to match which row we want to modify. And we will add the image and the image URL. So maybe we can just delete those guys, sentence ID, because we don't want to touch those people. We'll just keep the image and the image URL. Yeah, everything else is not within our interest. All right, for the image URL, we will go for the upload file and we will have the web content link. This is going to be the image link. For the image, I will paste this one. Now this is going to come from the ID generated by the upload file, this one. Okay, so you will drag this into this place over here. And you can add this because I want the image to appear visually within the sheet. So I have added this around the variable. Okay, if you just want the link, that's fine. You don't need this. You just can drag this ID directly. Okay. But if you want the image to visually appear in the Excel sheet, you can add this code to it. Okay. So we can right now execute this and update our sheet. All right. So that has worked fine. If we go right now to our sheet, let's see what has been updated over here. This is our URL over here. When you hover around it, you see the image. Turns out we should add equal sign over here. Okay. Let's try and run. Okay, I'm going to run this one. All right, so finally the image appears over here. All right, guys, so now we're done with the loop. It will loop through all the sentences and generate the image for each one and throw the URL in the URL so we can work with it or download it or whatever. And now we want the system to check the next sequence once it's done with this one in order to trigger the process of generating the videos based on those images. Because, you know, as a user, you don't want every time you create a new video, you come here and create the images and wait, then hit create the videos and wait. You want this to be done kind of like automatically whenever you choose to. Okay, so right now we will add a branch that will trigger the generation of the videos based on those images automatically. So right now I will add if statement. All right, so this is our if statement. And right now, if the value coming from the webhook, which defines the mood, photo, if photo, and let's make it first. Yeah, if it is true, then we will do, you know, the function. Okay, so when does this value become true? It's here. Let me show you guys the original story sheet. the stories sheet, sorry. Okay, over here, you check this box if you want the auto mode to be triggered. Okay, so if this box was checked, it will be true. All right, in my case, when I triggered this story, I was not checking the auto box. Okay, let's just be aware of that. So right now, whenever the auto mode is on true, we want to check the generate videos box. So we will go for sheets, update row in a sheet. And as always, we will identify the document by ID coming from the webhook. Right, let's make this first. Okay, and then we'll also identify the sheet by name and sheet name, drag it over here, and make it first. Right, we will map by row as always. I will select the right account and retry. And we will match using the row number as always. Okay, and we will set the generate videos value to true. Create videos are. Let's try it true. Okay, you can also delete everything else if because it's not related. We'll also drag the row number here and make it first. All right. Let's execute this. Of course, right now it's not going to work because it's set on true. So temporarily, what I'm going to do right now, oh boy, I have to repeat all this sequence. All right. So for now, I'll just plug it to false because right now we want to make sure that it's working and then we can reverse it back. Anyway, after that, after we update the sheet, we can pull the webhook. All right, guys, just remember to check this one, which is convert types were required in order for this to work. All right, again, let me remind you guys that just updating the Google Sheet checkbox, okay, of the which says create videos will trigger the video creation sequence over here, the new one which we will build. So this is what you need. And again, I remind you just that if you see an HTTP request over here in my video, it's just part of my previous recording. So just ignore it. You don't need that. Just updating the Google Sheet will trigger the next webhook. So right now, let's go ahead and trigger the next webhook. Just I will copy paste. Okay. Okay, and I will change this from image to video. Okay. Okay, and right now I can listen. Okay, and I will go to my app script over here. And again, since I'm just testing right now, so I need to add test. Okay, because this is going to be the activated URL on n8n right now. So I will go here to create videos. And right now we should receive this this webhook. And right now we're ready to build our sequence. So right now we want to generate the videos. What we will do is that we will zoom and pan into each image. All right, so let's first get the sheet of the sentences. Like always, get rows in a sheet. And let's, as always, get it by ID. Okay, so let's trigger the webhook first. Listen or test. Says that we should resolve outstanding issues, so I'll delete this block. I will listen for a test again, and I will go to my sentence, looks like 15, and I will trigger the create videos hook. Okay. All right, so we have received our webhook over here. Very nice. And right now we will create or get our sheet. And as always, we'll make it by ID and we'll write our ID from the webhook. and we will drag the sheet name from the webhook as well, and we will make it by name. Again, sheet name by name. All right, we'll set the right credentials. Okay. And we can execute. Very nice. So we have imported a lot of empty items over here, so we need to get rid of them. So we will add a code block to clear the empty items. I will provide this code for you guys again. All right, so I'll replace this code with my code and I'll execute. Very nice. So we have 36 items. All right. What I'm going to do is that I don't want to work with a huge number of sentences because we're just debugging. So maybe I'll just keep a couple of sentences and I will delete the rest. Okay. I don't want to work with all this during my debugging process. I just want a couple of sentences. Okay. I just leave those 2 sentences over here and I'll get back to my sequence and I will import the sheet once again. Okay, so we don't have that huge number of sentences to work with. And I will execute the code. So right now we just have 2 items, which is good. Now I will add the loop because we will loop over sentences. Very good. Okay, so we have gotten our loop over here. All right, so for the zoom and the pan, I have created a Docker image and a container that does the zoom and the pan. So we will talk to it just like we are talking to any API. And I have hosted this, let me show it to you. I have hosted it locally on my desktop, or Docker desktop over here. Okay. Now I will provide this image for you guys, and you're gonna have to install the Docker desktop and use this image and create a container and run it. Okay. After that, all right, guys, now let's just explain how do we install this image and run this container on your local system. Okay, in order to be able to communicate with it. So I will assume that you have already installed Docker desktop. Okay, so you will go to the search bar and you will write Launchpad 123, as you can see over here. Okay, and you will find this image, which is called Launchpad/Content Machine v1. Okay, and you will pull it. Okay, which will download it on your system. Which will create a container and make it running container. Okay, so every time, once you run it once, you will find a container for the image over here with an ID. Every time you want to run the system, make sure that you turn on this container in order to be able to communicate with this API and generate or kind of like run your sequence. So very simple. After installing Docker Desktop, you will just search for this image, pull it, and run it over here. And then you can run the sequence just the way I have told you in the tutorial. After that, you will create an HTTP request. All right, so let's fill up this block over here. Now, this is the URL that you should copy, the URL part. Then check send headers using fields below. Set the value as application. Then we will send a body in which we will define the features of the generated video. Right, so the first field is image URL. We'll fill it soon. Let's just add all the parameters. Second field is duration. Third field is FPS. The next field is zoom in. Then pan shift. I'll explain what are those parameters in a second. Final parameter, I promise, is pan vertical. All right, let the duration for now be 6 seconds. FPS be 30 frames per second. All right, so quick explanation for those parameters over here. All right, we have got the zoom in which I will set to 1.9, it says that the image, okay, once we zoom into the image, it will be 1.9 from its original size. Okay. Now the pan shift, we will set it to 1000. It means that it will, pan or shift 1000 pixels, okay, during the video. The vertical, we can set it to 0, which is the vertical transition or shift that happens during the video. Okay, so right now we need to run the sequence in order to get this variable over here. So let's run this one. Let's execute the loop. Very good. Let's go here. And right now we have some inputs to work with. So let's drag the image URL. All right, so the image URL, we'll get it from here, and we will drag it, we'll drag it into the image URL field. Make sure that you have generated images for your, on the sheet which you are working on. Okay, if you still did not generate images, you're not going to find anything over here. Because the sequence is supposed to run after the images has been generated for each sentence. So if the images has not been generated yet, you're not going to be able to run this one. All right, in order to configure the sequence, we need to have a sheet that has got its images generated. So I got back to the sequence over here, and I will unpin everything to make sure that the sequence works properly. Okay, and I will run from this webhook, from webhook 1. Okay, and I will go ahead and trigger this sequence, which is the image generation sequence. Yeah, so I will trigger this. Hopefully it will work right now. Okay, it's working. So right now it will generate images for the 3 sentences. Okay, this one was generated previously, but right now it will generate the images for the 3 sentences. In the image generation loop, where we update the sheet, I was getting the row number wrong. Yeah, I was getting the row number from the wrong block, which has caused the same row to be modified over and over again, instead of iterating over the sentences. So I need to get the row number. I was originally getting it from this block, okay, which is not what we want. We want this row number. Okay, this represents the row number of each sentence. Okay, so I will delete this. Okay, and I will drag the right row number variable over here. Okay. Right now I'll save and let us generate the images for this sheet. So I will run the webhook and I will go back to my sheet and I will retrigger the image creation process once again. So in my previous run, it was always just working on this row because it was getting the wrong number. So right now it will start with this one and then this one and then this one and so on and so forth. So let's go to the n8n sequence and watch it working. Okay, it's working right now. It's generating the images. So let me pause for a while. All right, so the sequence ran successfully, and right now we have got our 3 images and we got our 3 URLs. Okay, so those are our 3 images over here. Probably I will work on this so that the cells are automatically expanded instead of having to manually expand them. So I probably should modify the code in order to do this automatically. Anyway, for now we have got this sheet, okay, which is story 9 ready with all the images right now generated, and right now we are ready to work on the video generation part or sequence. All right, so we have gotten back to this point over here, and I will right now go to my Docker and turn on the image or the Docker that is responsible for generating the videos out of zooming and panning. So I will play this. This is going to be the the container or the API that we will call, and it's a local one on my device. All right, so let's run the sequence right now and trigger it from sheet 9. So we will execute from webhook 3, which is this one, and we'll execute. Okay, and I will trigger the video generation process. So hopefully right now something is going on over here. Come on, okay, it's working. Okay. Okay, so the HTTP request should be a post, it should not be a GET. So this should be a post request. Let's execute this right now. So right now we are calling the container on our Docker desktop, and hopefully it is doing the work. All right, so we have received the output for this cycle. Okay, and maybe we can view it over here. Okay, let me show you guys how how works. Let me, I don't know, it's not viewing over here for some reason. Let me download it. Okay, and open it here. See? Okay, now this is the zoom pan. It's not very perfect. Okay, I think it should be a little bit quieter than this. It's very fast. We can configure those parameters later. But for now, this is how it works. It works for kind of like 6 seconds. Okay, yeah, 6 seconds, and it zooms and pans like this. All right, so the next thing is the same thing that we have done over here, which is upload, share, and update, right? So maybe we can right now just copy those 3 blocks. Okay, I will copy them. Come on, guys. Copy those 3 nodes, and I will go here. I will paste them. Will be okay. So we have added them to the loop over here. I will get back here. Very nice. So let's configure those guys. All right, for the first one, it's already configured properly as copied. So I'll execute this and move forward. Unfortunately, it's gonna have to repeat everything previously because you cannot pin the downloadable files. So you're gonna have to repeat every single node for it. No problem. So we're executing this one. Okay, very nice. Maybe we can pin this so we don't have to repeat everything. Okay, this one worked nicely. I will go here. And for the share part, it's already configured from the ID, so we will execute. Okay. So nothing much should be done over here. Okay, very nice. So this is shareable right now. And now let's do the update block. All right, so for the document by ID and the sheet is already as copied. Okay, nothing to be changed over here. All right, so right now I'm referencing the wrong webhook because right now we're working with webhook 3. Okay, so as for the document ID, we're gonna have to drag this one. Okay. Also, this one is also referencing the webhook of the previous sequence. So we're gonna have to drag the right one. This is the sheet name over here. All right, so now we can fetch our columns. Okay, finally we have got our columns. So right now we will use the row number as always to identify which row are we working on. Okay, and we will right now drag the row number over here. Okay, good. All right, so I have deleted everything except for the video and the video URL. This is what we want to modify. All right, so right now for the video and the video URL, let's start with the video URL. Okay, I have dragged this variable over here. Okay, this is the variable that allows you to download the video. Okay, but I've added dot replace drive SDK with sharing. Okay, this resolves an issue. Also, I have, okay, for the video, because I want to be able to see the video as a thumbnail, so I have added this script, which you can see over here around the video. Okay, but I have used the same variable, which is this variable over here with view link. Okay, and I have added some modifications over here. I will leave this for you guys, okay, along with the document, so you can copy it, but don't forget to modify according to your nodes names over here. All right. Okay, so let's run this. So overall, I've just dragged this variable. Don't feel confused. I have just dragged this variable over here and here, and I have added some modifications, which I will show you the effect of right now. All right, one more thing. I think we should add an equal sign. I don't know why it's not already done in my script. All right, so let's run the whole thing right now and see how our videos will show up. So let's execute the workflow and trigger the video generation process. Okay, so right now the sequence is working. All right, so the sequence right now has finished. Okay, and let's see here. Okay, this is our video URLs over here. All right, like we did in the previous sequence, we want to trigger the next sequence, so we can copy those 3 blocks over here and connect them like this. So let's figure them out, or sorry, configure them out right now. So this is our first block. I think it should be the webhook of the sequence, which is webhook 3 over here. So modify it to match your webhook name. All right, very good. Let's execute this. Please execute the whole workflow rather than just this node. Okay, right now for the update row, let's also change this to 3. This to 3. All right, let's execute the whole workflow in order to. All right, for now, okay, I will just connect it to false instead of true because my original story, I just did not set the auto mode to true. I just set it to false. So right now, until I configure those blocks, I will connect it to false. That's fine. Okay, so I will execute the workflow again, so we can have the variable flow arrive to those blocks over here. So let's create videos and let's trigger this whole structure so we can configure those guys. All right, so simply we can just, if we want, we can just set the row number to 2. It will always be 2. Okay, let me show you that. Okay, this is the row that we want to modify and make the checkbox. So this is our next checkbox, which is to create the voiceovers. So we want to check this one up. So it will always be in row 2. Okay, so it doesn't have to be a variable. So we can set it to 2 and we can add the create voiceover. Okay, and we will write true. So that means check the box. Okay, very nice. So maybe we can execute this. All right, again, updating the Google Sheet checkbox of create voiceover will trigger the coming sequence which we will build, which is the voiceover creation sequence. Okay, so if you see an HTTP request over here, just ignore it. It's part of my previous recording. So let's go ahead and create the next webhook. Okay, I will copy paste this block over here, and I will call it, okay, and I will call it voiceover. Voiceover. Okay. So I can listen for this. Again, guys, make sure that you update every one of those webhook URLs with your own URL because URL will be different because you'll have a different ngrok URL. So I will go to voiceover, and right now, since I'm testing, I will change this to test. Okay, and I will save. And right now, I will go for the create voiceover checkbox and click it over here in order to receive the webhook over here. And right now, our webhook is received, and we are ready to build our sequence. All right, so one last thing, I will get this one back to true. Okay, so it works whenever the auto mode is set to true, not false. Okay, but right now we have done, or we are done configuring those blocks, so we are good to go. All right. So right now we are ready for the next, we are ready for the next sequence, which is the voiceover. All right, so let's trigger the new webhook right now so we can start developing. So we will listen for the event and go to our sheet and trigger the voiceover. Okay. So we have received the webhook over here. So right now let's get the sheet. Go to Sheets. Right. Close in the sheet. And we will choose sheet by ID. Okay. And we will choose, sorry, the document by ID, and we will choose the sheet name over here by name. Yeah, because our sheet is called 9. All right. And we are good to go. Let's execute this. So go back to the, all right. We need to fix this. This is my credential over here again. All right. We need to refresh the token. So I will go back. I'll save this, and I will go back to my personal, and I will go to my credentials, and I will refresh it, because every now and then they require you to refresh the credentials. It's kind of like a security issue. So we need to refresh this. Select all, continue, and visit site. Okay, now we are successful. So I get back and I will close, and I will get right now back to our workflow over here, tutorial. Yeah, I get back here and try to re-execute this once again after refreshing the credentials. And right now it works. So you guys, if you face this, you just refresh your credentials. All right, so as we can see over here, we have imported a lot of empty rows. So we need to add the block that only keeps the non-empty rows, okay, because originally we just have 3 rows over here. So we need to get rid of the empty rows that were imported. So I will add the block to do that. All right, so this is the same block that we always used. So I will add a code over here, and I will paste my code, which is the code that I have provided for you. So let's control all and paste our code and execute. All right, so right now we only have the 3 items. We got rid of the 900 other items over here. Very good. All right, guys, as you can see, the 3 sentences belong actually over here. We have 3 items, but the 3 items belongs to the same sentence, which is why it's called 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. So it doesn't make sense to generate the voiceover 3 times for the same sentence. So we will just generate the voiceover 1 time for those 3 items. So in order to do this, we need to add another block that will remove the duplicate items which belong to the same sentence. Okay, so this is what we're going to do right now. Okay, so we will add another code, and we will remove the duplicate items which belong to the same sentence in order to just generate the voiceover 1 time for each sentence. So we will execute this, and as you can see, we had 3 items. Right now we only have 1 item because we only have 1 unique sentence. All right, so let's add the ElevenLabs. I think it's something within ElevenLabs. Let's see what happens here. Convert text to speech. Very good. Okay, so right now I already have an account. In your case, you need to go to your ElevenLabs account and get your API and then add it as a credential. Okay. Okay, so right now, in regard to the voice, choose whatever voice that you want. Maybe we can make it controllable from the sheet, but for now, we can make it a variable from the sheet, which we define from the sheet. But for now, let's just choose anything. Now, in regard to the text, okay, it's reasonable to choose this sentence over here. Okay. Okay, guys, if you want more control over the voice, for example, you want to make it more lifelike or something, you go to voice setting and you play with those parameters. Okay, in my case, let me control all and paste my own code. So I have played with this to make it more kind of like human-like, more alive. Okay, less robotic, as we can say. Right, I don't remember which one of those parameters is important, but kind of like one of those parameters, maybe it is the style. Okay, if you decrease it, it becomes a little bit more emotional and more human-like. So you can play with those parameters and see how it performs to make it more alive and more and less robotic. So let's try and execute this. Oh, very good. That worked. Okay, I did not touch my credentials on ElevenLabs since a long time. So let's download this and hear it.
Did you hear about the latest trend that's taking the internet by storm? Did you hear about the latest trend that's taking the internet by storm? Did you hear about the latest trend?
All right, so this is how it performed. And you can play with those. Maybe the style can change it or the stability to make it more emotional, less robotic, and so on and so forth. All right, so the next is the same, guys, which is to upload, share, and update, right? The same 3 blocks, which we have. So copy 3 nodes and paste. It's Control V, and those are our 3 nodes where we will upload, share, and update, right? As always. So let's configure those blocks really fast. All right, so this is our first block. Looks good. Nothing seems to be wrong here. All right, so we need to refresh our grant also for Google Drive right now. It's not also working, so we need to go back and go to our credentials and Google Drive and sign in again. All right. Continue. Select all. Continue. Okay. Always back to workflow. Machine. Tutorial. All right. So let us now. Sorry, not this one. Let us run this thing once again. So we'll execute step. So right now it will execute all the previous nodes. Very good. So it has generated the file, and right now it has uploaded successfully. Very good. Okay, in regard to the shapefile also, let's see. Okay, everything seems good here. So let's execute this. Okay, very good. It has worked. So let's update our sheet. So right now we need to reference the right webhook. It's 4 over here. So I'll fix this. And right now it's happy. Also here is 4. And right now it's happy. And right now I will, okay, also the row number is right. I will refresh the items to get our columns back. All right, so right now I'll fix the code number. I'll remove this and put our code number, row number over here. So it's working. Now we need to add our columns, which we want to modify. I think what we want to, yeah, we need to add probably the voiceover and the voiceover. Let's see, we have here voiceover URL. And also those are from previous sequence. So I will delete the video. We don't want to touch it. And I will delete the video URL. So right now we have the voiceover and the voiceover URL. All right, now so for the voiceover to be viewable, we'll go for upload file. We have something called web view link. It's for viewing this one. Okay, and for the download, we need this one, which is web content link. Very good. So let's execute this. Unfortunately, probably it will execute all the previous blocks once again because I did not pin them or something. Anyway, so this is our, we can go back to the sheet and check. This is our voiceover. Yeah, so it's viewable. You can click on it and listen to it. And also, you should have a link, which is a voiceover URL. Here is where you can download it in order to use it. Very good. So we only have one sentence. So only one, one link for this sentence. All right, guys. So one last thing is that we want to trigger the next sequence. Just like always, we need to trigger the next sequence if the auto mode is enabled. So we will copy the 3 blocks responsible for that. We'll Control V and or Control C, Control V. Okay. and we'll connect them. Very good. So let's configure this. Okay, we need to reference the right webhook, which is right now for our situation. Oops. Yeah. So this one is good. And execute this. Fortunately, it will execute everything before. Very good. So on the true branch, we have this. Looks like we have already set it to auto, our initial request. Very good. So let us configure this. Again, we will fix the webhook. It's 4 and 4. And right now we want to set the next thing to true, which is not create voiceover, something else. It is maybe generate the final video. Final video. Where is it? I don't know. Create final video. Yes, this one. So create final video, and we will set it to true. Yeah. And we will remove this one. This is from a previous sequence. Amazing. So we can execute this. Okay, very good. Let's see. Here we go. So it has already shaped this box over here, which triggers the generation of the final video, which will put everything together. Okay, and yeah, generate the final video. All right, again, guys, updating the checkbox of create final video will trigger the sequence that will generate or create the final video. So just ignore the HTTP request that you see over here in my videos. It was part of my previous recording. Okay, you don't need that. So I will right now go ahead and create the next webhook. I'll go and copy and paste this. So this is our video creation, our create final video webhook right now, and I will change it from voiceover to final video. Let me make sure that this is the correct name in my app script. Yep. Okay. Final video. And right now, in order to call the webhook, I will change it to test. So I will go right now and test with this webhook over here. I will go here, and this is the checkbox that triggers the final video. We're supposed to receive something right now. And yeah, we have received our final video creation webhook over here, and we are ready to build the sequence. All right, guys. So right now we will also get the sheet and get rid of the empty items. So Control C, Control V. Yeah, let's connect this. And over here, we will fix the, yeah, we need to trigger the webhook first in order to configure this stuff. Yeah. So I will listen. I will listen. I will go to the sheet and I will trigger this webhook. I will get back. And here we go. We got our webhook over here. So let's go to the sheet. Okay, very nice. So it's working nicely over here. I find no problems. Yeah, it's working nicely over here. Yeah. Okay, good. Let's execute this. All right, that worked. This is the same code that will remove the empty rows. So let's execute this. Very good. Save. All right. So the next thing is that right now we will send a JSON body as an API request to our container, okay, our local container, which we run on our Docker desktop over here. Okay. So in order to communicate with this container and allow it to serve us, we need to send it an API which includes a JSON body. So right now, I will add a code that will generate this body right from the sheet. Yeah. So I will Control All, and I will paste my code and execute to show you what it has generated. Okay. So here we go. This is our output. This is video the video URL, the audio URL, and then the video URL, the audio URL, the video URL, and the audio URL. Okay. So this is how our system works. Okay, it receives pairs with the video URL and the audio to be set during that video URL. But if you can see over here for this item, because it's the same sentence, we don't have a video an audio URL over here. Okay, because originally in the sheet we have nothing. Okay, because we did not generate anything for the same sentence in order not to duplicate the generation process for. Okay, so where are we? Okay, so we need to fill those empty gaps over here. Right now, I will add another block over here, another code block. Okay, and I will add this code and I'll show you what it will do right now. Let's execute this. All right, so it has filled the empty slots over here. Okay, this was empty because we have no audio, and over here it was empty, so it has filled it with the same audio URL. So this is how it should look whenever we send it as a JSON body along with our API request to our Docker container. All right. So now we will send the HTTP request to our locally hosted Docker container. Okay. I'll also, again, this is the same container that I've talked about before that does the zoom and the pan. Okay, it has got two endpoints, the zoom and the pan, and the generation of the final video. Depends on what endpoint you call. So I will make this this image available for you guys in order to run it on your own PC and be able to also call it from your own sequence. All right, so let's configure this. This is a post. This is our URL. It says internal, host Docker internal. This should be the same port which is used for your container. Okay, and this is the endpoint. This is the endpoint that we call right now. It's called merge, which will put everything together into the final video. Okay. Okay, so we will send headers, and again, over here will be accept. The value is application JSON, and we will send the body which we have prepared in the previous blocks. So we will send the body. It will be JSON, and it will be using JSON. Okay, and we will drag the JSON code which we have prepared. So right now in the JSON body, I'll write this code. Okay, it needs to be stringified, and whenever we choose this JSON, it will return the JSON input data to the current node, which is coming from the previous block, which we have prepared. Okay, so it will take the whole JSON body from the previous block and inject it over here. Okay, because we did not specify anything like, for example, JSON.videos or anything. So it will take the whole JSON input. So this is how it will look like: videos, okay, and video URL. So this is the shape which our API, which we have designed our API to receive. Okay, so videos, and then the video URL, and then the audio URL. This one, okay, the audio URL, and then the next video and the next video. It will be pairs of videos and URLs played during those videos. Okay, in order to run this one, I will go to my Docker desktop and I will turn on my container. This is it. This is the one. Okay. So right now, our container is turning on. Give it some time. Okay, and this is the port. If you can see, this is the port, which is the same port which I have embedded in my URL inside the HTTP request. So right now, I'll give it some time to switch on. It takes a little bit of time. Okay, a few seconds. Okay, so I'll get back to the sequence and try to execute this code, execute this block. Okay, execute step. Okay, so this is the port that I was talking about here. So hopefully our local image right now is doing the work. It's putting the videos and the audios together into one final video. Great. Let me pause for a second until this is completed. All right. So this is done. Again.
Did you hear about the latest trend that's taking the internet by storm?
Okay. So this is the video.
Did you hear about the latest trend that's taking the internet by storm?
As you can see, let me just raise the voice. Okay, so you guys can see it's one sentence, and during the sentence, it renders the three images.
Did you hear about the latest trend that's taking the internet by storm?
Okay, so this is kind of like the final product over here. Okay, it was generated successfully. So let's save this. All right, and finally, again, we will upload, share, and update. So we will copy the same three blocks over here, and we will connect. And thankfully, we don't have to trigger any other sequence. This is the final video. So I think we are almost ready, because those two blocks usually do not require any modifications. So let's execute this. Okay, that worked. Let's do the share. That worked. Okay, and let's fix the sheet. Let's update the final video. So we will reference the right webhook. We'll modify this. 5. And also it looks like we should add first. Yep. And right now it's happy. Again, 5. And also first. Whenever it says cannot determine item, we will add first. All right. Also, we need to add the right row number associated with our code, probably code 7. So maybe we can fix this to 7 directly. Cannot determine, so we will add first. And right now it has figured out this one. Okay, so right now we want to add the final video, not the voiceover. So we will add the final video and the final video URL. Final video URL. All right. So for the video, we will use web view link, okay, because it allows you to view the video. Okay, and for the download link, we will add the web content link. Yeah, and we can execute this and update our sheet. And this way, we have eventually finished. Yep, that worked. So let's hit save. And go here and see our final video. This is our final video. Okay, we can maybe click on this. You want to see or preview the video. Okay, so the video is still processing, so we can download it. Okay, after a while, we can maybe view it immediately, but right now it's still processing. So this is our video.
Did you hear about the latest trend that's taking the internet by storm? Did you hear about the latest trend that's taking the internet by storm? Did you?
I think, of course, it requires a lot of calibration. I think the switching between the images is very fast. Okay. Yeah, the switching between the images is very fast. The plan is a little bit too aggressive. A lot requires or needs calibration. But for now, this is good.